All right, welcome back to another episode of Zero Downtime. How you doing today, Logan?
Happy to be here, John.
I'm happy you're here as well. All right, we got a good show today. Today is we're going to talk about Windows 12, and there's been some FUD spread around about Windows 12. I think I got something you'll be excited about. I got some CAD renderings potentially of the new iPhone Fold.
That's exciting.
I got some information about some Ray-Ban footage that I think you'll find it interesting. And I want to talk some real talk about the MacBook Neo. The tech bros on social media have been pretty rough on this new computer from Apple, and I think wrongly so. And then this last week, there was some discussion in the Bitcoin groups about how they prepare for quantum computers and how they secure Bitcoins. So I found that interesting, and so I'm going to talk about it today. But first, it's the meme of the day. It goes along with the Meta thing.
Okay.
It's not really the government, but it works. All right, so it's Edward Snowden, and it says, provides proof government is spying on citizens. Government charges with spying. All right, so how was your week last week?
It was good.
Yeah, anything exciting?
I was just trying to think if there was anything exciting last week.
Well, I can tell you that I enjoyed the warmer weather.
Yeah, that was nice.
Did you hear the thunder and lightning the one night?
Yes, Saturday or Friday night.
Was it Friday night?
Yeah.
Are you sure it was Friday?
Well, it definitely was doing it on Friday night because I participated in the bags tournament that the Qantas put on.
And you were out till midnight?
No, it was thunder and lightning when I was coming home.
So when this episode comes out, I think tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. I'm pretty sure. I did the math.
I'd have to go look. I'm sure you're right.
I looked it up. I kind of when I plan the episode, I always look to see what days are kind of around it, just in case, so I can have something kind of related to the whatever's going on.
Correct.
So I just wanted to, I'm a big proponent of disproving some myths.
It's your favorite thing.
I like it. So did you know? And obviously you're reading the notes, so you know, St. Patrick wasn't Irish. He was born Roman Britain. I don't even know what that is.
Are these true facts?
Yeah, these are true.
Okay.
St. Patrick had nothing to do with the color green. In fact, St. Patrick's original color was blue.
Do you know when it changed?
I don't. I didn't dig that deep. There's been a lore that St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland. The real fact of the matter is there probably was never any snakes in Ireland anyways. So, yeah. And actually the first St. Patrick's Day parade was actually held in New York City. So when we were at the restaurant on Friday, that was on the TV, and the TV answer, the bar TV, that comes up and it says like the facts or whatever.
Yeah,
it was
trivia.
wrong. It was wrong because it said the first parade was in Boston, and it actually was in New York in 1762.
Are you going to let him know?
I don't know who runs the TV.
All right.
I don't think Wheezy will care.
I don't think so.
So as I get older, this time change really affects me more and more and more every, like, I have 3 kids, right? And get up all night and whatever. And I did in the first 2, the last one I didn't do much, but the get up at night, do the things, whatever. And I could get up and still go to work the next morning, right?
You have always complained about time change.
Well, and here's the problem is I'm going to do it for 3 weeks, just like everybody in the stupid government about changing it and like making it permanent, blah, blah, blah. And then it just goes away. Everybody quits talking about it, but it just is awful. What other place in the world says, I'm going to cut my feet off and put them on my head and now I'm taller? This is so stupid. I hate it so much.
I love that you said when you got older, you have always hated the time change.
Yeah, but now what am I, 3 days in now to the time change, and it's still beating me up. I'm a very routine person, Logan.
You are very routine. And you don't like when it gets changed.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I got all these clocks I got to change in the house. It's like it becomes a half-day routine.
You have that many clocks that you still have to change?
Well, you get your
I just assume that most of your stuff's all digital now.
You should know this about tech people. We hate technology in our houses. One last thing. And I've been meaning to talk about this on a few episodes, and finally today I've remembered. I hate so obviously I hate the new iOS, and I'm gonna give Apple some props here in a little bit. So I got to tear them down first.
What?
The new
yes,
the new keyboard sucks. However they changed the keyboard for spelling is just awful.
Like the guessing of
Like,
what you're trying to say?
Yeah, when you're typing and then like you hit spacebar and then it corrects the word, even though you typed the word right.
Oh, that does bother me.
Like that's new in this new version of iOS, and I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I have to keep going back, and I don't want to turn spell check off because I am an awful speller.
Most people are.
Yeah. So anyways, how was your week?
It was good. I can't think of anything that crazy happened.
No, just nice weather. Yeah. All right. We'll move on. Windows 12. So I was, there was this big article that dropped and I was way into it and I was ready to rip on Microsoft hard because it was like, they were going to go deep into AI. Windows 12 is going to be modular and all of that. It all turned out to be fake. So I thought it would be good to give you some facts about Windows 12. So right now, Windows 11 is the one that's out. You might not know that. So Windows 11 is the one that's out, and Windows 12 is the one they're supposedly working on in the background for release whenever it's going to be released. So basically what was true? What was true is that the new version of Windows is going to have deep roots into AI. But really right now, what Microsoft is working on is fixing Windows 11. We've kind of talked about in the last few episodes about Microsoft Slap, Microslap, whatever you want to call it, how AI is doing a lot of the coding and then we're the testers. And it's just been awful. So Microsoft is spending important time on fixing things like being able to move the taskbar to the side. That is something. So I know you use a Mac and it's got the dock.
Yeah.
And I know you can move the dock to the side, to the top, to the whatever.
Yeah.
So you used to be able to do that in Windows. And they got rid of being able to move the taskbar.
Just because they thought it was most efficient at the bottom.
I don't know. I don't know the reason why you would regress that feature. Because, obviously at A&P, we see a lot of people's different computers, right? And sometimes people will have their taskbar in just super weird spots, and it's what works for them.
Do you move yours around?
No, I don't move mine. Actually, I use Linux, and so I have a dock at the bottom, and then I have a file manager, or I have a start, kind of like a start button at the top left.
Okay.
So my most important programs are at the bottom, and then everything else is sorted over here. And I don't know that I could go back from that. Every time I have to use Windows and try to find a program, I hate myself. It's so awful. So what we know is that Windows is probably going to be released in 2027. So 2026 is still safe from the impending AI-built Windows 12. So back to the roots. So we know that Windows 12 is going to be very heavily into Copilot, Microsoft's new Clippy, if you remember Clippy.
I remember Clippy.
It's going to be woven deep into the OS, whether you like it or hate it. Copilot is not going to go anywhere. Microsoft has bet so much on Copilot.
Do you like Copilot?
Matt.
I was going to say, Matt at the office
Matt loves
Copilot.
Copilot
Is his jam.
And I could take it or leave it. I'd rather AI intrude in the places that I let it rather than intrude it everywhere.
Makes sense.
I still want my thinking time in front of the computer to be my time. And then if I need an assistant, then I can get an assistant rather than having it be so woven into the OS that I don't have a choice.
Okay.
I don't know. I would guess that it's going to be extremely hard to disable and probably, here we go again, almost impossible to uninstall. So,
people can't even get mad at that till it comes out.
You don't even know. This is my guess. You can roast me when it happens or doesn't. AI first. So Microsoft in Windows 10 really clamped down on the amount of computers that it would support. So it was very specific on the CPUs you could use and very specific on the TPM you could use. So you couldn't use TPM 1.2. You had to use TPM 2.0. That's like an encryption module.
Okay.
And I'm gonna think it's gonna be even deeper. I'm gonna think that every computer that runs Windows 12 is going to have an NPU because AI is so woven. An NPU is a neural processing unit. It has to do with AI.
Okay.
Also, as we talked about a couple weeks ago with NVIDIA and getting into the CPU market with MediaTek and ARM, we're going to find those embedded and required by Microsoft.
Do you think that'll just make the price of machines go up?
Well, not only that, it's going to make everything else on the market obsolete. If you bought a computer yesterday, it's probably obsolete today. if you expect to run Windows 12 on it.
Because it won't have all the.
Some machines coming out now have NPUs, but
Okay.
but a lot don't still. I also think Microsoft is probably going to double down on the type, speed, and quality of RAM, because AI is very RAM dependent, and I think that, and with the price of RAM right now, they're going to be very particular about the type of RAM. I didn't find anything to like, excuse me, back that up, but it just seems that that's going to be the case.
Do you just feel like they're doing? I mean, obviously they're probably trying to make your experience better,
Mm-hmm.
but it just sounds like a way for them to make everyone have to change their machines.
Yeah, and in the end, Microsoft doesn't have a lot of, I don't know, skin in the game when it comes to machines. They have a few of their own machines, but really it's the other makers that are going to have to kind of fit into Microsoft's mold if
What
they're
if
going
they
to.
come out with all their own new machines as well?
Well, they will. They have to. I mean, if the consumer still wants Microsoft, and we talked about that last week. Basically, if you're done with Microsoft, then just stop buying Microsoft products. You could do it.
Yeah.
And they'll stop this madness of every single time they release a new Windows operating system that it's going to have these crazy requirements and it won't run on the hardware you already have.
Yeah.
It's just and the worst part is, Logan, it'll become the recycle. Okay, so computers get recycled, right?
Yep.
When you can't run Windows on the machine again, it becomes useless. So you're spending $2,000 on a computer that becomes throwaway because the next version of Windows doesn't support that version of NPU. Right?
Yeah.
So now you can't install. Microsoft, I think, did an extreme disservice to their customers by like limiting the CPUs. It was already proven. There were patches in the beginning of Windows 11 that people had built that let Windows 11 run on unsupported CPUs, and it ran fine.
Okay.
Microsoft was just being Microsoft and saying, we're going to stop supporting these CPUs sometime in the Windows 11 cycle, even though they were just fine.
Is that just because they don't want to deal with it anymore?
Maybe it's one of those things like, well, we can kind of close up the market and make it so we only have to support 50 different kinds of CPUs or whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but Microsoft used to not be that way. If you were an Intel CPU, it ran on Intel, and that was just it. So, anyways, next thing I'm gonna project in Windows 12. So back in Windows 10, there were two home edition Windows that I guess were more secure. We'll say there was Windows 10S and Windows 10X. There were two different tries, kind of the same thing. So Windows 10S prevented you from installing anything that wasn't from the Microsoft Store, hence the S.
Was it just cheaper?
I don't know if it was cheaper. I have no idea what the price was.
Okay.
But, there's in Windows, there's all these little hacks that you can install to do different things, and it makes your machine a mess in the end. But you have the freedom to basically download these little programs, run these little EXEs, do all these things. Like when you install a program that on a Mac that Mac OS isn't signed by Apple, you get a warning. You got to go to security and privacy, and then you got to allow it, right? Yeah. This wouldn't let you install anything else unless it came from the Microsoft Store.
Wow.
That was the first try. The second try was Windows 10X. And what Windows 10X did allowed you to put all those other programs on your computer, but then ran them in what's called a sandbox. So a sandbox is a way that you can run the program on the machine, but it doesn't have access to your files or any of the important stuff of your operating system. So if it did something bad, it was kind of trapped in the sandbox.
Yep.
Both of those experiments failed. But as we've seen with Copilot and Clippy, Microsoft will be willing to try again. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee that Microsoft's going to come back and they're going to do something that prevents you from running non-signed Microsoft applications on home edition Windows. So when you're out shopping for your new computer, don't buy a Windows 12 home edition. You're going to have to buy a Pro or Enterprise license to make it run.
It's just bizarre.
Subscriptions.
Those are your favorite.
Microsoft with Office 365 has really learned that they love monthly recurring revenue. They love knowing that they're gonna meet marks every month. Normally you would release an operating system, you'd release Microsoft Exchange, you'd release Office, you'd release all of these products at different points of the year, and then they'd see revenue go up. They see revenue go down. It was, it's a hard business model, right? Software's hard because you only get paid when it's new, and then people buy it when it's new, and then it lags behind. And you still sell some well. if you basically write the software for a monthly charge, you can flatline that, which is good, right? It's going to be all over Windows 12. You're going to have to pay a subscription for anything that's pro level.
How are they going to be able to compete with everyone else?
Right.
That you don't have to pay for.
I don't know. Yeah. It's because Microsoft is still like number one in business.
Okay.
Companies will figure it out and add it to their bottom line to be able to have it to pay for these features. But don't forget, you're also going to have to pay for those Copilot credits too.
But don't you just think we talked about this a little bit last time with an LLM, like bringing it in-house, that you won't want certain industries having Copilot go do whatever it wants with the data that you're writing, because there's just going to be huge vulnerabilities.
And I can almost guarantee you there will be a version of Windows 12 where it doesn't have any of that.
Okay.
There'll be something that'll be a government-based Windows 12 because Microsoft's going to want to sell to governments that maybe aren't friendly to the United States. And those governments aren't going to want Copilot woven into the OS.
Yeah. Well, you just think of like banks, all that. Like they're not going to want their customer data going when they're just trying to run a report.
Correct. And Windows Recall is something that came into Windows 11. And that's where it takes screenshots. So we talked about that before. It takes screenshots, send them to Microsoft so Microsoft can help you. Yeah. In my opinion, Windows 12 is the new Windows Millennium Edition. And for all of you people that aren't old enough to remember Windows ME, Logan, Windows ME was the operating system that came after Windows 98, and it was garbage.
How long do they usually run before they release a new operating system?
Well, it used to be longer. Now it's seemingly almost every year or every couple of years, but it used to be longer. So it was 95, 98, ME. Then ME, most people like bailed on ME, went to 2000, then to XP, and then to 7, and then, kept going.
Okay.
So, and what it seems like, or I forgot Windows 8, what it seems like is since Windows ME, every other Microsoft release, Windows operating system release has been garbage.
So it's good, bad, good, bad.
Basically, it's like they do this experimental operating system and then it flops and then they fix everything and then it works great. It's like Windows 7 was super, super awesome. Windows 10 at the beginning was not good. Now it's better, but I don't know. I still don't like it. And Windows 11, and the reason Windows 10 is kind of on my list is because of the limited CPUs. Oh, no, that was Windows 11. So Windows 10 is okay. Windows 11 is where they started limiting the CPUs. So even though I don't really like Windows 10, Windows 11 is worse. Windows 12, it's going to be 2 in a row. They're not going to.
You're not thinking they're going to knock it out of the park?
Well, no. And the thing is what we're seeing in Windows 11 now is all of this extra AI coding that's just making the operating system garbage. Microsoft isn't stopping. They're doubling down on Windows 12. It'll be even more coded by AI. So I don't have much hope for Windows 12, but I wanted to dispel some of the myths. It's not coming out this year. We're not going to have to worry about running out and buying new machines quite yet, but it'll come. It's going to happen. And every machine is going to have an NPU and it's going to cost more. And, yeah.
You can thank Microsoft for that.
Yeah. And AI. All right. CAD renderings of the new iPhone Fold. So first off, I don't know if these are real. I'm assuming they're real. They're being reported as real.
I hope they're real.
So let me go over some of the specs of the new iPhone Fold. It's a 7.8 inch unfolded, 5.5 inch folded OLED display. It's very sharp and vibrant. You get a 48 megapixel rear camera, Touch ID in the power button, so that's on the side. An AI shortcut button, just what everybody needs. And IP68 water resistance, so it's water resistant like every other phone. And it's going to have Apple's new A20 Pro chip, a 12 gigabytes of RAM, and a 5,500 milliamp hour battery to drive 2 screens. Right? So I doubt it's going to get you any more than what your normal phone gets you right now. It's going to debut in September.
Sign me up.
The price is going to be in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, I estimate.
Oh, that's expensive.
It'll be, it's basically 2 phones. What do you want?
2 phones cheap.
And it'll be released alongside the iPhone 18 at the same event. So without further ado, here are the CAD drawings. And if they can really make it as thin as they're making it appear closed, that's amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, to add a little bit of credibility to the fact that it is real renderings, it's Chinese at the top right corner on the directions.
You really think they're going to drop a whole camera lens or a camera in the back?
I hope so.
They just have had 3 for so long.
Cameraception. I don't, and I don't even notice a difference in the quality of the stupid pictures. Do you?
I mean, they have their reasoning.
You
for
probably do.
I don't know if I do.
I don't notice the quality in the pictures.
I was just surprised to see that one was dropped. But maybe they'll come out with a pro version.
We caught a raccoon last night.
In a trap.
Yeah, in a trap. So it's been living under our deck.
Having a good winter. I
was just thinking about this. I took a picture of it and sent it to the family this morning. And yeah, my wife made it a sandwich and put it in the trap. And I was like, are you feeding the raccoon a sandwich? You don't even make me sandwiches.
And then, you didn't get caught in the trap first trying to eat the sandwich.
and then the first morning I go out to check the trap and there was a cat in there. Didn't even touch the sandwich. I don't know what the cat was doing.
Did the raccoon enjoy the sandwich?
Yeah, I think he did. He was not happy. Don't worry, I'll take him out to brighter pastures. All right, Ray-Ban footage. So I got a message the other morning on my WhatsApp asking me for my email for backup purposes. WhatsApp uses my phone number.
To back up what? Your messages?
No, so as backup in case I lose my phone number.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm more likely to lose an email address than a phone number. Right?
I think it'd be hard to lose your phone number.
Well, so it got me thinking, why the heck was WhatsApp, parent company Meta, asking me for my email address to tie to my phone number? And all I could think was more data points. More ways to tie me to this number, to this WhatsApp. I mean, obviously they probably know my email, but anyways, it got me digging. And digging's never a good thing. So I'm a fan. I've never tried them. I want to try them. The Ray-Ban glasses.
Yep.
And I don't want to try the current evolution of the Ray-Ban glasses. I want a heads-up display in mine. I want something in the glasses that can show me something, that can pinpoint something in the room. Like, hey, I lost my keys, pinpoint them, and it puts a box around my keys.
Because right now, most of them just can record. You can talk to them. Mm-hmm. They hear, it gives you the answer back.
Yeah, it'll see the video and then describe to you where your keys are. But it won't give you a heads-up display of where your keys are. So that's the generation that I'm interested in.
Does it exist?
I don't know. It will. It will someday. There'll be a whole heads-up display where you'll be able to scroll your Facebook. So a lot of times you can wear like a ring, and that's where you can scroll.
Okay.
On some of the heads-up display glasses. But anyways, how would you like one of your data points to be your bathroom usage?
This is a thing.
All right. With a collaboration with Swedish newspapers and a Kenyan-based freelance journalist using machine translation, based on interviews with over 30 employees at various levels of SAMA. SAMA is a company that Meta has contracted with to help train models and help make their AI better.
Okay.
Including several people who work with video, image, and speech annotation for Meta's AI systems. Some of the people interviewed have worked on projects other than Meta's smart glasses. The report pointed to, per translation, a stream of privacy-sensitive data that is fed straight into the tech giant systems. And it makes SAMA's workers uncomfortable. The authors said that several people interviewed for the report had seen footage shot with Ray-Ban smart glasses that show people having sex and using the bathroom. Here are a couple of these are taken from translation.
I thought you were just going to say, here's a couple examples.
Why would you think that I had the video?
It's you. Who knows?
So these are statements from SAMA employees, not video. One guy said, I saw a man put the glasses on the bedside table and leave the room. Shortly after, his wife comes out and changes her clothes. Another one said, you understand that it's someone's private life you are looking at, but at the same time, you're expected to carry out the work. Meta's response to this says, we use machine learning and trained reviewers to process this data to improve troubleshooting and train our products. We share that information with third-party vendors and service providers to improve our product. You can access and delete the recordings related to the transcripts with the Meta AI app. Now, here's why it gets interesting. Back in August, Meta released changed the mode of the cameras to Meta AI with camera, and it's on by default.
I was just going to say, I didn't think it was always on.
Now it is. And you can turn it off by using the Hey Google command, but it used to be the other way. So Meta sent out an email to everybody that had the glasses and said, hey, we're turning your camera on by default. If you want to shut it off, say, Hey Google. Now, it didn't probably say just that. It probably was 3 pages long.
And it was probably in the 5th paragraph, sentence 3.
Yep. So Sam's employees suggested that Ray-Ban Meta owners may be unaware that their devices are sometimes recordings. Employees reportedly pointed to users recording with their bank card or porn they were watching, seemingly inadvertently. And then one employee said, we see everything from living rooms to naked bodies. Meta has that type of content in its databases. People can record themselves in a wrong way and not even know that they're being recorded.
You're going to have some people that don't care.
Right.
But majority would probably freak out if they knew that they were always sharing what they were seeing.
Right. So where would I use these glasses, right? I see an advantage in coding, writing code. I see advantages in assembly line workers. I see advantages in sports like biking, hiking, whatever.
Yeah.
Would I wear them all day, every day, like when I'm sitting there watching TV? Probably not. Maybe sometimes, depending on the episode, because it could give you insights, I suppose. But that would be about the limit of what I would do. I definitely wouldn't bring them into any intimate areas, like bathrooms, bedrooms, anything like that, right?
Yeah.
And probably rarely in my living room, right? Probably be limited to the brew house, you know? I think that the glasses will be extremely powerful, but there's going to be some lawsuits in the middle to clear this stuff up.
For the people that realize what they have shared, yes.
Well, and the glasses have a red light when they're supposedly recording. But I think that's when you're recording, when those videos go to your camera roll.
Okay.
That doesn't include when they send this stuff to Meta.
I mean, it makes me happy I don't have one.
Well, I mean, who's more dangerous? You with the recordings or Meta?
Well, at least you can control what happens if it's on your phone.
Just sits on your phone? Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about the MacBook Neo. Now, I said this wrong last episode. I called it the MacBook SE, and that was the name it was supposed to be. And then after they had released it, I still called it the MacBook SE. So if I've gotten dragged here,
you're not, because the only way you're getting dragged is even in our reels, everything's a week behind, essentially.
Right. Yep.
So I didn't share the reel where you call it the MacBook SE.
Okay. Well, good.
Because I wasn't going to listen to people get mad that it's the Neo and all this.
All right. So we're going to talk about this and we're going to put it in perspective. So people that are on Twitter or on Facebook and they're just seeing all of this garbage posting about how the new MacBook is not what you want. We're going to put to bed the rumors and we're going to make people feel comfortable that the MacBook Neo is right for some group of people. All right. If you know what Electron is, the MacBook Neo is not for you. If you want to run a Windows VM, the MacBook Neo is not for you. I want to go through the specs real quick of the MacBook Neo, both the $699 and the $599, $499 student edition. There's a lot here. So I'm gonna skim through them. I'm not gonna read them all verbatim, but I'm gonna skim through them.
Okay.
All right. A18 Pro chip, 6-core CPU, 5-core GPU, hardware accelerated ray tracing, 16-core neural engine NPU, 60 gigabit per second memory bandwidth, media engine, hardware acceleration, video decode engine, video encode engine, ProRes encode decode, AVI, 8 gigabyte of RAM, liquid retina display, 13-inch, 1500 nits, support for 1 billion colors, sRGB, one USB-C with support for charging, DisplayPort, USB 3, up to 10 gigabytes, and USB-C, 2-port charging, USB 2, and a 3.5 millimeter head jack. The $699 comes with Touch ID and a 512 SSD, and the $599 comes with 256 gig, no Touch ID.
If people don't understand all that, you just sounded like you're reading off gibberish.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. If you understood most of what I just said, the MacBook Neo is not for you.
There you go.
That the machine is Apple used to rule the classroom. We had Apple IIs, we had Macs in middle school. There were Macs in high school, but mostly PCs then. They were kind of taking over. But we were one of the rare schools that didn't have like iMacs and all of that. Like we never had that. We had just the 286, 386 machines, right? Apple used to rule the classroom. And when Microsoft came in and started like dethroning them, Apple, fought hard, but didn't win, and that was some of Apple's like darkest times, right? Were when they were failing in the classroom business. Then they came out with the iPhone and the iPod and some more consumer products, and all of a sudden they were back in good graces. In the meantime, Google was building the Chromebook, right? And then now Google has basically taken over the classroom. So you have some teachers that have Windows machines, some teachers that have Chromebooks, but then you have students that are basically all Chromebooks, unless maybe they're kindergarten or whatever, then they're using iPads. But the vast majority of computers are these Chromebook computers. And these kids have used these computers since they were 5 years old with like 4 gigs of RAM and a 16 gig hard drive and a little 11-inch display and a crappy touchpad and just crappy hardware and whatever. And they've used these machines since they were 5. So Apple's thinking, okay, we're not really on the radar for these kids, right?
Correct.
Okay, so we need something that can compete with these Chromebooks and say, for $499, if you're going to college, you can buy one of these. You can do more on it than you can a Chromebook. You can't write Electron. You can't code for the iPhone. You can't do all of these things that requires too much memory. It requires too much CPU. The machine is not built for this, right? But it is built to take your notes, do your spreadsheets, all your Google tasks that you want to do. If you want to use Google Sheets, it works just fine. You want to install Chrome, go ahead and install Chrome. That's fine. That's who the market's for. It's not, I saw these videos of, well, this machine is a similar price to the MacBook Neo. It turned out to be completely not true. This guy came out and said, wow, this machine is $899 and it's double the specs. Turns out it was like $1,200. If you're a comp sci major, yeah, the MacBook Neo is not for you. But if you're going to school to be a teacher and you need a note-taking machine, something that you can sync your notes to your phone, you can get your iMessages to your computer, those kind of things, it's the perfect companion for someone like that.
Yeah.
And there's obviously in the tech business, there's haters of certain technology.
Oh, I mean, always.
Yeah, and I try to be pretty open. Obviously, I have an affinity for Windows. I use it. I mean, shoot, A&P probably wouldn't exist if Windows didn't exist, right?
Yep.
So obviously, there's a love-hate there, but I like Mac. I use Mac too, but some of these people, I swear, are just paid by one of these companies to just go out and just trash everything that gets created by the opposing company.
I was just going to say, I'm like, they probably have an affiliate somehow to just talk it completely down instead of, letting you know who should use it.
Right. And just because Windows requires 16 gigs of RAM doesn't mean you can't slim down Mac OS to run on 8 gigs. It doesn't mean that. I don't get it.
So, do you think it'll be worthwhile?
It's going to be a success.
Okay.
It's going to be 100% success. I guarantee it. It also tells me that you can run Mac OS on an A18 processor, which is last generation's iPhone CPU, which tells me, and it's got a display port So you can plug a monitor in, which tells me you could put it on the iPhone. And I could finally have my computer that you plug into a screen and you can take it everywhere with you rather than a laptop.
Do you think that's coming?
I don't know, but it'd be nice.
It would be nice.
Get it together. Quantum computers and Bitcoins. So this last week, I saw some rumblings on a Bitcoin mailing list about quantum computers being able to break into private wallets, derive the private key. So, okay, a little bit about how Bitcoin works. So there's kind of three pieces to Bitcoin, or really two, but let's say three. There's the SHA-256. That's how new Bitcoins are created. That's how blocks work. So a block is like a set of transactions go into a block. Right now, when a block's discovered, the person gets paid 3 something Bitcoin. The person who finds the block gets paid 3 something Bitcoin in the future. And then all those transactions are shoved into a block. That block is pushed forward. And that's like kind of how the blockchain's written, right? And a lot of places you'll see like it takes 2, 3, 4 confirmations. What that means is that the block has existed for 4 times, because what can happen is transactions can be reversed. But once it's on the main blockchain, it's solid. It'll be there forever, right? It won't ever be able to be reversed. So that's how you mine Bitcoin. That's how the blockchain works, and that's all secured with SHA-256. Now there's your wallet. So your wallet is an elliptical curve Diffie-Hellman, and so what that is like it's a public key, and that's a key I can give to you, and that's a key that you could pay me at. So it's this string of characters, and I say, Logan, pay me X number of Bitcoin or X number of whatever. You could pay that address. That comes to me, and that is secured with my private key. My private key is my private key. I don't share it with anyone. If I leaked my private key, you'd have access to all my Bitcoins.
Okay.
Right? So the idea here is that you could take the public key and derive the private key. Now, on a normal computer, you could go back to the beginning of human history and try to guess or try to get my private key. You would have not found it by now. With quantum computers, think of it like they can do millions of things at once. So a computer can do one guess at a time.
Yep.
A quantum computer can do millions of guesses at a time. Well, that all of a sudden takes it from all over time to maybe minutes to be able to derive the private key. We're nowhere near that yet. So we have quantum computers. We don't have quantum computers stable enough, and we don't have quantum computers with enough qubits to be able to derive the private key. So the developers of Bitcoin are kind of like, what are we going to do? So basically what it's going to require is there are quantum resistant algorithms. So that replaces the elliptical curve, the public private key. It doesn't replace the public private key, but it replaces how it does it, and it's quantum resistant. I'm not going to pretend to understand any of that, but it's quantum resistant. So the idea is that they add into the Bitcoin code, basically, quantum resistant wallets. And so all you have to do is take your Bitcoin that's in your not quantum resistant original elliptical curve and send it over to the quantum resistant. And all of a sudden, all those Bitcoins are now quantum resistant, and you don't have to worry about losing your Bitcoin. Fine, right? Easy. What happens to Satoshi's million Bitcoins? Satoshi has never moved his Bitcoins. We don't even know if Satoshi's alive. We don't know.
Yeah.
Right. The idea with Satoshi's Bitcoins is sort of, he probably, if he is alive, he'll never spend them, because it's kind of like the heart of Bitcoin. These coins. Everybody watches his wallets to see if he's moved his coins. What happens to people that have?
How do they know how many Bitcoin he has?
Because he made public his public address.
On purpose?
No, when you spend the coin, you know what the public address is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, or when you're paid, like when he was mining Bitcoin, you could see on the blockchain who they were sent to.
Okay.
And then you can take that and you can look at a public key, and there's some sites, and you can do it on a computer too, but you can see the balance of a wallet.
Okay.
Even if it's not yours and you don't have the private key. So what do we do with those? Or you have a USB with a wallet on it that's sitting in your drawer and you forgot about, and all of a sudden they come out with this quantum resistant stuff and you've got to move it. So they're trying to figure out what to do. And one thing they're thinking about doing is freezing all of the keys, all of the keys or the wallets of all of the people that haven't moved the coins to the quantum resistant. Yeah. So essentially, all of those coins in the crypto world, we call it burned. So you set up an address you don't have access to, and you send coins to it. You've burned it. And that's kind of at the heart of this problem, I guess, is what do you do with those coins that don't move, but are at risk of being stolen? I mean, you have a million Bitcoin is like $6 billion or something like that. It's a lot of money. It could be 60 billion. I don't actually know. But what do you do with all of those coins that aren't moved, but could be stolen by governments, right?
It's crazy to think about. It'll be interesting to see how it does unfold.
But I guess the real secret here is that we're a long ways away from this. And when quantum computing hits the ability to steal coins from people's wallets, it's going to break a whole lot more stuff. We're talking the internet. Your bank encryption's broke. HTTPS is broke. VPNs and government sites, they're all broke. As soon as they can, because they're all built the same way.
Okay.
A public-private key. A lot of times you use it. So a lot of times what you do is in a handshake, you generate a private key and public key. You generate a private key and public key. You switch, and then now I can encrypt and decrypt stuff just to you, and then you pass another key across, and that's kind of the key you use to talk.
Okay.
It breaks all of that. Anything that say the government or any organization has where they've held on to this like PCAP or this trace or whatever, they know like there's bad stuff in here. They're gonna be able to break that and see it. It's gonna be a crazy world when it finally happens. And yeah, that's what I got for today.
That's just nuts. Hopefully it's not for a while. So my one question for you is, if you walked into a company for the first time and wanted to judge how healthy their IT environment really is, what's the first thing you would look at?
Okay, so the first thing I would look at is I would say, take me to and even if they don't have a server, you always say this, take me to your server room. Everybody knows that there's a closet somewhere that's been, the IT equipment is almost always thrown in the hottest, smallest closet in the building. I would say, take me in there. First, if they don't know where it is, that's a red flag, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, okay, so they take me to the room and I look at the equipment and I judge the age of the equipment. So if, right now everything basically runs gigabit, right? Mostly all the switches in a normal corporate environment or small office running a gigabit. If I walk in there and I see a Netgear or an old HP that's running 10100, I'll assume that they either got it from home or, that it's just been there for so long. And they'll say, oh, it works good for what we're doing. And it probably does, but nobody there probably understands any of that equipment. Right.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else would I do? Yeah, I don't know. So if I was going to walk in and a customer said, the one thing that we do different at A&P, I want to make this clear, from a lot of different MSPs and TSPs, I'm going to get in trouble again, is we don't walk into the business and say, you've got to take your equipment out. And part of that is because we serve a large area, but we have customers all over the United States, but we don't walk into a business and say, you have to pull this out and put our equipment in, and you have to run it our way. You got to run our firewall. You have to run our switches, our access points. We don't do that. We started the business to service the community, and we don't find it a good service to walk into a business and say, remove all of this because all of this is not supported by us. We have a staff that has vast amount of knowledge across all different platforms. And yes, when it comes time to do an upgrade cycle, we will suggest the stuff that we sell. Of course.
Yep.
Right? Because we know it better than any of the other stuff.
I was like, if you're going to pay us to configure something, why not let us use what we know?
Why not pay us to configure the stuff we know how to configure quickly?
Yeah.
So, but we do not walk into a business and say, you need to pull this equipment out right now and put our equipment in. Otherwise, you're just not our customer. We're not going to take care of you. That's not what we do. And that's what a lot of MSPs do. And we had a company kind of break in half, and half stayed with us and half went to one of these MSPs from I don't know what state. And the guy flew in for a couple of days and replaced everything. And I was like, what a waste. We put all brand new access points in here, all brand new switches, like nice stuff. And they're like, they put in Ubiquity. Like just and I had a 10 gig fiber ring there. I put them on the fiber ring, and the Ubiquity just shit the bed. There's no other way to say it. It couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to put an HP in the middle to make their Ubiquity work correctly. It just, and because they couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Ubiquity. And I know a lot of guys use Ubiquity, whatever. I think they're overpriced. And I think that, it is what it is. And we can have a whole episode about, and we may have to, if you clip this part, we will have a whole episode about how Ubiquity is garbage, and I can prove it. But that, I guess I got sidetracked from the question. But the real answer is as A&P, I don't walk into a network thinking about how I can change it. I walk into a network thinking about how I can support it. And all of my sales guys think the same way. All of my techs think the same way. It's like, yeah, it would be better if we had this, but if you're not ready to do that yet, then we're going to support you with what you have. And then we're going to work a trust relationship here that I'm not here to just sell you something and then walk out the door. I'm here to support what you have, whether it's legacy or future. I had to fix a mill one time, and it was all in Japanese. It was a Linux desktop on this mill, and I had to fix it. I did not suggest to them, hey, get a different mill. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, I guess that's my crappy answer.
It's not a crappy answer, but that is all I have for you.
All right. I will see you next time.